Here at Ngozi Talk Shows, find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, I'm with Amanda. How are you, Amanda?
I'm good. Happy to be here. It's morning here. It's bright and early. It's 6 a.m. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Here is afternoon. It's afternoon. I can't believe it's 6 a.m. there for you guys. But that's all good, all good. So our topic today is how to turn your wounds into wisdom. Turning your wounds into wisdom is a profound process of growth and transformation. So today we're going to share some steps and to that you can take and navigate this journey. Um, Amanda, what do you think about the topic?
I think this is a great topic because so often people view struggles in their life as something that they like want to push down and like just overcome. But really, we learn so much through our struggles. And even in the classroom, like if something's really easy for you, then you're not really truly learning. We learn the most when we struggle with something and when something's a little bit more difficult to overcome. And that's actually when we become the most proud of ourselves as well, is when we can overcome those things that are holding us back or keeping us stuck. And so I think sometimes when we have these wounds from childhood or from a divorce or from something else that's happened to us in our lives, we like hide them and we like pretend that they don't exist. But really, when we are open about these wounds and how we've overcome them, that's when we give strength to other people. And that's when we can share our strength with other people. So I think this is a really great topic because I think people try not to really show their wounds at all and they hide them. And I don't think that's always the best thing. I think really it's to be like open and authentic and really own who you are and own what you've had to overcome. And there's a lot of strength in that.
Thank you that, Amanda, when you say people try to pretend as they don't exist, I think it is it's how most people cope. They just pretend as they don't exist. They'll sweep them under the carpet and are hoping that things will get better. But the good thing is if you actually acknowledge them and like taking first step towards healing, because if you ignore them and believe that they don't exist, but they do exist, truth be told. So if you acknowledge your wounds and then allow yourself to feel that pain, because when you allow yourself to feel that pain, it means you tell that pain to say, you know what, I can feel you, but I don't want to feel this way anymore. I want to get help. And then you get help because there will be pain of anger, pain of sadness, that associate with the experiences and places where you've been as well, depending with what kind of wounds that are. So denying or suppressing your emotions does not help. Like Amanda says, it destroys you. Actually, it destroys the real you within you. You end up building that wall where you just want to shut down and protect yourself. You can't live life to the full because you're protecting yourself. But the truth is, we know that we don't ask to go through pain. Sometimes some pain that we go through is our childhood experiences. Some is our adult experiences. Some is just life in general, where we just have to go through this messed up life where we don't ask for it. But you have a right to acknowledge it and seek help in order for you to find healing. Some pain you might not need really to seek help, professional help. You just need to go through the healing process so you can actually find your breakthrough. What do you think, Amanda?
Well, I really think that like what you were saying is true. And I know even for myself, when I start to open up about different things that I've struggled with, people start to say, oh, I've had a similar experience, or oh, I know other people who are struggling with that, or oh, I need you to connect you with this person because they're going through the toughest part of that right now, and you could really help them. And I think for me, it first started when I started talking about my anxiety and how I struggled with anxiety. And I thought I was the only one. And I was like 18 years old. And I didn't know anyone who had been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. And I was in university, and I was like really embarrassed by it. And I didn't really know what it was. And now, like 20 years later, 20 years later, I like view my anxiety as my strength. I view it as something that is there to like warn me of what it is that doesn't feel right with me. But I've also learned how to support myself so that my anxiety doesn't take over and isn't like this demon that takes over my entire life. I've learned how to use it as my strength. And I think that when people start to learn how whatever it is that they're struggling with can actually be their strength and can actually turn whatever situation you're in into what can I learn from this situation and how can I grow from it, that's when things really begin to open up. Because your mindset, if you're like, why is this happening to me? I'm stuck. I have no options. This is horrible. And it's like this pity party on yourself, which I know we all done. I know I've done that for myself as well. Even with all the research that I've done on anxiety and overcoming obstacles in our mindset, I still find myself in pity parties sometimes. And when I can stop myself and then turn even just ask myself the question, what can I learn from this situation, or how can this help me grow? Just things completely shift and change. And so I really think this is an opportunity for you to really begin to understand the wisdom that is within whatever it is that you're struggling with. Because I also believe that if we don't overcome what it is that we're struggling with, if we don't begin to build those tools and overcome that, then we're bound to repeat it over and over and over again, those struggles. So if we don't learn how to deal with our anxiety, then it's going to pop up in a different situation. If we haven't dealt with our childhood wounds in relationship, then they're going to pop up in other relationships. If we haven't dealt with our health, we haven't really truly committed to healing our health, like even physical, then we're bound to keep repeating those patterns of like binge eating and not getting to the gym and not having those healthy habits that we know are what our body needs to be healthy. And yet we are stuck in these habits and patterns that continue to send us down the same road over and over and over again, even when we start to get on a better path. And I was listening to a Tucker Carlson podcast yesterday that someone had sent me. I haven't actually listened to his podcast before, but it was about this guy who is really trying to overcome aging based on science and all of these things, and how he says that he's able to like people grow a year and he's only growing body scientific wise about 7 months, and how he's like reversing aging based on his diet and all of these things. And then he posed the question to Tucker, if I had an app that would tell you exactly what to do so that you could live healthily forever, would you use it? And Tucker's answer was absolutely not. I'm not going to let a machine tell me what to do. And I thought, wow, like that is, but it's true. I also thought to myself, I'm like, I know what I need to be healthier and to be, but I don't want to go to the gym at 5 a.m. every morning. I just don't want to do that. I like to go after work. But I really like chocolate. And I had one friend to me say, because I don't drink at all and I don't do any drugs or anything like that. So like one of my friends was like, what is your sin, Amanda? And I was like, it's chocolate. I eat chocolate every single day. And I was like, I can't not eat chocolate every day. And I know that if I stopped eating chocolate, then I would have other like health benefits to that too, or like sweets. Sweets are definitely one of my struggles. And so I know that each and every one of us, no matter how disciplined we are, have something that's our like secret little like savory thing that we have. And so I think that we do have lots of wisdom within ourselves, and even just knowledge of how to be healthier. And yet sometimes we often choose not to use it because there's a whole bunch of research out there on how to eat really healthy, and yet we look at especially North America and the obesity pandemic. It's like insane. There's so many people with weight problems and things because of the food that they're eating and lack of exercise, and yet we know we have the knowledge to solve those problems, and yet we're choosing not to. And a lot of it has to do with the food industry and how there's lots of chemicals and preservatives and all of those things in it. And yet we have the knowledge to change it, but we're not changing it because we're not choosing to use our wounds as wisdom. We're just choosing to follow that same path and that same habit. Yet I believe if consumers truly demanded better health options and better options for our food and more transparency with what's in the food, then things would start to change. Because even in the last 20 years of really being cautious of what I'm putting into my body, I've seen a whole lot more of options and for what I see in the organic aisles at the grocery store, and organic aisles popping up in grocery stores that never existed before, and people having a choice. Whereas that 20 years ago didn't exist unless you went to these specialty places or to farmers markets. And so we are seeing a shift in consumer thought around some of the health issues, but it's a really slow process. And so being able to take what it is that we're struggling with and really turn that into wisdom sometimes takes a really long time.
I like that, Amanda. I love that when you say we need to learn to support ourselves, and you sharing your story, how you had to learn to actually deal with your anxiety. I think some people rely on painkillers. They cannot cope with their anxieties. Like without painkillers, they were like, I cannot survive with it. You have to reclaim your power. No matter what pain you go through in life, you can reclaim your power. Everything is in the mind. How you want to live your life, how you want to respond to every situation, you have that power. So, but some people, like you say, Amanda, they just let things get to them. They don't deal with things properly. They're like, wow, what's the point? I've gone through this, and they'll continue blaming that situation. They will continue blaming the people that were not there for them. They will continue blaming themselves as well. They will continue telling themselves that they are not enough. And that becomes their identity. So it's important, whatever you go through in life, to understand that, okay, the situation, I went through this, but I can actually reclaim my power by reflecting on the experiences, what has taught us through that pain. So you can actually learn from that pain and create it. There's so many people that are struggling. When I created the video, actually the people that were conducting me through human blood sacrifice, it was people in the UK and Canada and America. So, and I was like, I was really, really shocked. And some people, it was the people white people that I have met through business events, and we hang out. And they're like, Nomsa, I went through that, but I don't know how to deal with it. It's causing pain in my life. And it just opened my eyes that when you actually go through pain, sometimes just talk about it. Of course, you can't talk about it to everybody else, but just deal with it by getting help. And once you get a help, it's just amazing the healing you'll be able to actually teach others, because there's loads of people out there who might be going through the same pain and they don't know how to turn, they don't have strength. But if you do have strength, please just reflect on those experiences of what you've been through and what lesson have you learned, and consider how they shaped your beliefs and moving forward with your life, and how can you use that experience in order to build your life, your tomorrow, because there's always something you can do with the pain. You can always build something, you can always create something through that pain. So just don't sit there and say, you know what, I have gone through this pain and there's no solution. There is a solution for everything. You just have to find it as an individual. How can I help myself moving forward? And you cannot dwell on the problems. You can't say, you know what, I need to find out why I went through. Sometimes the people that have put us through that situation, they go on and build their own life, their empires. They don't really care of who they've had, but you, the person that have been hurt, you just stay in that environment. So, like Amanda, she's learned how to deal with her anxiety. She can cope with it, and she does not let it be her identity. She knows that is there. I bet sometimes, Amanda, you forget that you've got anxiety. So yeah, so you just have to find that strength within you and the courage to actually create maybe a roadmap or how you can actually moving forward your tomorrow, how you can create your tomorrow to be better than yesterday, than last year, than your childhood. You can create it. You can be the woman that God created you to be. You can be the man that God created you to be. Most men, what do you think about men? Do you think men actually they deal with the wounds properly, Amanda?
I think that the what I've seen anyways, and going to like healing circles and different things that I've experienced throughout my lifetime around healing, going to different retreats and everything like that, the vast majority of it is women going to these things because they are looking outside of themselves for healing, but understand that healing comes from within, and they're gathering tools everywhere that they possibly can in order to heal from within. And while I don't see as many men in it, there's definitely men that have come to different retreats, that are starting to go to retreats, that are starting to show up at yoga classes, that are starting to do some of that inner work. And I wonder why it is that this shift has begun with women, that but I definitely know that there are men that are doing the work as well. And I wonder if there being less men doing the work is around the shame and how men deal with shame differently. And if you want to look up shame and how it affects us, look into Brene Brown's work, because she has so much, she has like whole books on shame, and lots of talks on shame and how it affects us. And I think that because of the way that shame affects men, working through some of this work is a little bit more difficult for them to start. But then once they start, they can sometimes be the biggest advocates for healing from your wounds. But they have to get over whatever it is that's holding them back from beginning that work. And so, well, I do think that there definitely are some men that are doing the work on healing their wounds. It's not in the numbers that we're seeing with women, that I've seen personally anyways. And you might have a different experience. I don't know, but just from what I've seen and from what I've experienced with the courses that I've run, and with the work that I've done, and with the books that I've read, and with the book clubs that I've been in, it's generally women looking into this work, and then lots of them spreading it to their spouses as well. And it tends to be the spouse that they get on board with this work as well, because they see how it's helping their wives, right, or their partners.
Yeah, I think yeah, men is yeah, they're starting to come out now because they have this attitude where they think that they have to man up. So me, I always when somebody tells me that Nomsa, I have to suck it up and man up, I'm like, where does it say that you have to man up? So I'm like, if you go through the pain, it's still the pain, you're still a human being. It does not, the pain, it doesn't come through as you are a man. It's the same feeling like I will feel. So I'm like, where does it say that you should man up? And they'll be like, but it's embarrassing. Uh, it's embarrassing like when you have a problem and then it's like somebody said to me, no sir, if I was to come to you like if I'm a man and I'm being abused by a woman and I tell you you will laugh at me. I was like, no, I wouldn't. And they were like, yeah, you would laugh. I was like, no, I wouldn't, because I know that there are some men out there who go through abusive through women abuse. And it exists. It's not that it does not exist. It exists. But if I'm ignorant, yes, I will laugh. But I know that it exists. There are some men who are women who are like very, very abusive. They will do anything to actually abuse that man, and they know that that man will never pick up the phone and seek help because they feel embarrassed. So if there is anyone out there, if you're going through pain and you still believe that you have to man up, and unfortunately, the real world, it does not work like that. It does not work like that. Yeah, some they'll be like, why do I need to get therapy? I don't need to get therapy. I just need to suck it up. I'm like, okay, you don't need to do that. And there are some who come forward as well. They will tell you that they've been going through the pain for a long time, but they feel embarrassed to actually come forward. I think for me personally, I wouldn't want like I wouldn't want to keep telling myself the same story if that story is causing pain in my life. I want to deal with the problem. And if I was dating a guy, I wouldn't want that guy to go through pain because they feel that they have to man up. So I'll be like, anyway, my spouse knows that me, whenever if it raises a concern, it means Nomsa has to do something. I really don't look at it as this is a man, he has to be strong, because I believe that we are all created the same. There are some women who are stronger, there are men who are stronger. So you don't have to put up with anything because you are a man. So if you're watching, guys, do seek help if you're going through abusive relationship, or if you have gone through childhood trauma, you never ask for that trauma, seek help. There's a guy on YouTube, he was sexually abused. He's a pastor now. He was sexually abused when he was young. He was taken from Uganda to Europe, uh, and he was abused by pastors, English society. He talks about his story now, and there's lots of them that are coming forward. You don't have to feel ashamed with what you go through. But before, he says before he came forward, he used to be really sick. He even went blind, because when that sickness of pain is affecting you, it can affect the whole part of your body and the whole thing or the foundation of your life. So you can turn that into wisdom by just putting yourself out there, get support from professionals. You don't have to talk to everybody. There are some people, when you talk to them about your story, they'll make you feel worse than you than in your story. When you told them your story, they'll make you feel worse. So pick and choose the people that you can confide in them, and without wanting people to feel sorry for you. So pick and choose, even in the family. I know in my family there are people that I can talk to them about anything. I've never actually spoken to anyone in my family apart from my grandmother and my mom. these are the people that I talk to them about my problems. Anybody else, my sister, yeah, my sister, my oldest sister, I talk to her about my problems. But I see that the way I see other people when they confide in people about their problems, the way the reaction. So I don't really talk about my problems, or I get a professional and talk about it. And once I talk about it, it means I want to fix that problem. I want to find a solution and be free. It's the freedom. And also forgiveness as well is very, very important. You go through pain, and I just find that freedom and release whoever has hurt you, the pain, or however you've gone through it, release that person and practice self-compassion as well is very, very important. Uh, Anything you want to add, Amanda?
Yeah, that self-compassion piece is huge. I like what you said about that because whenever we are trying to overcome struggle or overcome wounds that we're going through, sometimes we get into that it's me part, or we struggle with what it is that we're going through. And really that self-compassion piece and that learning to heal from within and that self-care piece is so important when you're overcoming wounds that are holding you back. And really those wounds can follow you through your whole life, and so whenever they start to creep up, it's really important to have that self-care piece. And self-care can look so different for different people because introverts reset very differently than extroverts reset. And whatever it is that helps you with your self-care, that's what you need to do. So for example, going for a walk or getting any type of exercise can generally help with self-care, making sure you have time to read, spending time being creative, reconnecting with some friends, or even the typical like candles and baths and that sort of stuff can really help you when you notice that you need that self-care piece. And I think recognizing that self-care piece is so important when you begin to really be like, okay, I can see myself falling down this path again. What is it that I need to do to reset? And when you begin to notice that those wounds, you'll notice that you're not doing the same patterns over and over again. You'll notice that you're beginning to shift the way that you deal with that. And there's a bunch of books on how you raise your vibration. And you raise your vibration through your thoughts, and whatever your dominant thought is what your reality is. And so when you begin to change the dominant thoughts in your mind, then your life truly begins to change. And so I think that's something to be really conscious about, is what is going on in your mind each and every day, and what are the dominant thoughts that you have. And when you begin to notice what those dominant thoughts are they positive or are they negative? And then if they're negative, how can you stop yourself when you get into that negative thought cycle to begin to shift them towards something that's a higher vibration? And I just read this book. It's called Ask and It Is Given by Esther and Abraham Hicks, I believe. I'm not 100% sure the author, but it talks about if you're feeling this way, then try this tactic. And they have like 22 different options. And it talks about in the book how to raise your vibration up of every single level to like pure joy, and how you can do that based on your mindset, because you can't jump from complete despair and depression to absolute joy. It's like little steps along the way. And how if you're in this complete despair and depression stage, how you can raise yourself to the next one, to the next level up. And it has a list of 22 different levels that you can be vibrating at and feeling, and how to raise your vibration to along the way. And it was really, really interesting because I think when we begin to believe in ourselves, and we can believe that we can heal, and we can believe in being the best versions of ourselves and waking up being the best versions of ourselves, then that's when things really start to shift and change for us.
Yeah, that's it. That is so true, Amanda, as well, to go like what you're saying, go step by step when you're dealing with the problems. Some people they want to go to the top, same time they want to feel better, but step by step, like what Amanda is saying, to raise your vibration, and you will feel better each and every single day. You will feel better, the energy, you'll gain your strength. But try not to feel that sadness, to stay too long in the sadness. The reason why we have to feel the pain, we have to relate to it, is because you have to find ways now, like to tell the pain, to separate yourself with that pain. And in order for you to separate yourself with the pain, you cannot separate from it if you are in denial. That means you have to accept it and you have to deal with it. You accept it, you don't stay there, you deal with it. But how you're going to deal with it, have a strategy of how you can deal as a person, as an individual. We can read books online, we can watch videos on YouTube. But what we need to remember is we are so different. When I did Paul McKenna's program, How to Mend Your Broken Heart, there were sometimes when I was going through healing, sometimes, what do you want, Kayla? Sorry, guys.
I need help connecting him. He's in
I don't know no Spanish.
No, Mommy, I have my iPad so you can see.
Okay, you're disturbing me. Give him my iPad, is there? Sorry, guys.
We need help connecting him.
Is my iPad is connected.
Help connecting him with his phone.
Sorry, that's my daughter. Is I have 10 minutes. Just go, Kayla. So yeah, you need to, when you go step by step, with there were times where sometimes when I was doing the program, some days I'll have really bad days because I'll be like in tears, I'll be crying, but it was part of the process. Sometimes I'll look at the, like if I'm writing, I'll look at those writing and I'll be like, I don't want to do this. But then when I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, I'll allow myself to feel that pain. And then I'll put it away and then go back to it. If the minute I feel the pain, I feel like, yeah, I'm feeling this pain, I don't want to continue, and then I'll leave it. And then I go back a few hours later, I'll write it. But then after a few years later, when I was going back to read that handwriting that I was writing, my feelings, I couldn't recognize it because I was like, I'm so confused. Did I actually feel this way? Honestly, because I had to write down how I was feeling every single day. So I would write it every single day. Sometimes things will not go according to plan, but I kept going and I kept going. And somebody can ask me, Nomsa, the steps of actually breaking through from the wounds from your childhood. Some people may say, oh, the small problems. The small problems are the ones that hit the most. Because for me, after I finished the process, I was like, why do I feel the pain with my mother's divorce and my dad? I don't even remember the divorce. But why? But I think in my subconscious mind, I remember it very well because I was in my mother's womb and my umbilical cord is connected to my mother. So that means the feeling that my mother was feeling, the children can feel it because you're a mom. So they can feel those feelings. And I was like, but it does not make sense. And then after I finished the process, I felt so good. It was like I was back to the real me, and the real me that I had pushed on the side, and I'll be like, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. I will just go try to achieve goals, try to go to the gym, just play football, and everything is fine. But things were not okay. So just try to seek help if you can seek help, or just create your own strategy. For me, what worked was I listened to Paul McKenna's audios and I'll listen to whatever he's saying, and I'll create it how, as the individual, how my body is responding to it. But sometimes my body will respond exactly how, and the most important thing is the lies. The lies, you have to get rid of them. You have to have a strategy, because the lies is what we tell ourselves from the beginning, who we are, our identity, who has hurt us, who is this and that becomes us. But that's not really us, because we don't ask to go through the pain. So if somebody has decided to be really bad and hurt us, we have to, our job is to break free from that pain and find a solution moving forward. And also find a meaning through that pain as well. For me, those are the things that I had to do, and embracing forgiveness as well. When you embrace the forgiveness, it means you release that person to your freedom. It doesn't matter whether they ask for your forgiveness or they don't. You release them to your freedom. And sometimes when I pray, I said, God, you are not fair. Sometimes I say, God, you are not fair. Why do I have to be the one that keeps forgiving and keep forgiving and keep forgiving? That's how I felt before. But now, if anything goes wrong, I have to forgive, because I know that if I don't, I will have to go through the pain. So I'll just go through and just forgive and go through the process and just release that person to my own freedom. And I would be like, any accusation that I have in my mind, the blood of Jesus, wipe it away. I don't want no accusation, because they affect me in my subconscious mind. They will block my intelligence. They will block my winning spirit each and every single day. They will block my leadership. Whatever that is that I know that this will block my life, I will just unblock it. Like yesterday, I was just spending time just praying and blocking things and blocking things, because I don't really want my things to affect my life. I don't know, Amanda, what do you do? Is there any strategy that you use yourself to actually everyday life to be able to cope? Because you're a teacher, there's so much stress in the teaching. I used to say to myself, when I moved to the UK, I said to my friends, I will never be a teacher in the United Kingdom. The reason why I will never be a teacher, every single word has a risk assessment. Everything has, you cannot tell a child off. So I'll be like, I cannot do this. I cannot work with the children that you cannot discipline. Of course, there are people that goes over the top, but sometimes you discipline a child, they go and report you. They can even actually read it out loud, the rules and regulations, how they're gonna report you. So I was like, I don't think I can be a teacher in this country, like teaching younger kids, because it's not easy, it's hard work. So how do you cope with your everyday stress with children? I've only got two.
Different for everybody, because
40? I don't think so.
I don't really feel that stressed about the kids. The kids are there to learn, and you just foster excitement in their learning. And it's really, really, it's just about getting them excited about what it is that they're learning about. And if you can tap into their excitement and their like innate curiosities, then you really don't have to worry about behavior problems, because it's really about learning how to tap into kids' curiosities. And once you do that, they really will just begin to learn like on their own. It's really amazing how much kids can learn when you just tap into their curiosity, and how they are curious, naturally curious about the world. And I think part of the problem with school is that there's like this rote memorization focus, and really when you have rote memorization, you take away that curiosity and that willingness to want to learn. And so it's really, for me, it's about how can I tap into what kids are naturally curious about and how they love to create and how different kids love to create differently. And when I can tap into those things, I really don't have a lot of problems in the classroom. Back to our topic though, I liked how you started talking about forgiveness and how you need to learn how to forgive yourself and others. And I wrote a blog entry a number of years ago on forgiveness. And you can go to my blog on my website, artmindfulnessandcreativity.com. And in the blog, it talked about, especially on forgiveness, I essentially like wrote it after going to a Reiki session, and I got Reiki, and then I came home and I just had like all these ideas about forgiveness. And so I just like wrote it all out. And essentially it was about how forgiveness is really truly about forgiving yourself. And it has nothing to do with the other person. Even if you never actually ever talk to them ever again, you can still forgive. And you can forgive by being able to take that space that's being held up in your brain about this particular topic and forgive it and let go. Because when there's something that's bothering you and it's taking up space in your brain and it's taking up your mindset, and it's affecting your mindset, and it's affecting your ability to function. But when we can truly forgive and say, what can I learn from this situation? We can free up that mind space in our minds by letting that go. And that's a really different way of thinking about it, but it really helps you to stop. Like, you wouldn't let somebody live in your house for free, would you, other than your children? Right? So why are you letting someone hold up space in your mind for free when it's not? It's actually costing you by holding up that space. And I've heard that analogy at some point. I forget where it came from, probably from a book that I read, but that was really something that I was like, wow, that's so inspiring and impactful. In a different way to think about forgiveness is by really like freeing yourself. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from holding on to that and freeing up space in your mind. And so I think that's a really important piece when we're talking about healing from wounds, and also learning how to cultivate resilience. So resilience is our ability to bounce back from adversity, and we can practice self-care to build resilience. Resilience is something that's really, really important. And you see people who've been through horrible things living very functioning, wonderful lives, and then you see people who haven't really lived through something like super traumatic, and yet they're like drinking and like alcoholics or whatever, and you're like, why can this person overcome the horrible atrocities that they've been through? Like, say they grew up in a war zone or something, and then they really got out of that war zone and become very successful. And then another person's like lived what you would say like is a fairly normal life, but then is an alcoholic and like struggling. And it's because of our resiliency and our ability to overcome obstacles and how we cope with the stresses of our minds. And so, and there's examples too of children, twins even, growing up in alcoholic homes, and one twin becomes an alcoholic and the other twin becomes a successful doctor or lawyer or whatever it is, and they both have the same genetics, and yet they took completely different paths. And that is really based on our resiliency and how we take action based on what's happened to us, and how we practice self-compassion, and how we seek support, and how we allow ourselves to feel, and how we feel about ourselves. And so when you choose to shift the way you feel about yourself, and you shift the way that you react to things, and you start to build resilience for things that you're struggling with, then that's when things really begin to change. And when we can turn our wounds into wisdom is by using all of these strategies, like forgiveness, like resilience, like self-compassion, like being able to seek support, by sharing our wisdom, by acknowledging what our wound is, and not just avoiding it, because when we avoid it, we just end up carrying it with us and pushing it down into our bodies and into ourselves, and it will show up in disease so at some other point in our lives if we don't choose a path of learning to deal with it.
Yeah, that's good. I have to read your blog, Amanda, for forgiveness. Yeah, I have to read it or send me a link to read it.
Yeah, it was from a couple of years ago, but I can find the link to directly for that one.
Oh yeah, or you can put the link to the on the video as well. That will really help. It's important to go through the healing properly and the forgiveness. If it's like even at work, sometimes or even with marriages, wherever the life where you walk, it's like people when they go through accusation and they're like, oh, it's fine. If you don't deal with it properly, it will create wounds that can actually affect your life. Or if you go through pain and you don't deal with it affects your life. For me, I withdraw. If I go through accusation, I withdraw the accusation. I have to go through the process of withdrawing it. And also myself within my heart, if I have those accusation against somebody. So when I'm saying the accusation, if somebody has hurt you, the accusations are created in your heart. And those accusations are real. You're not creating them, you're not making them up, but they're real. Like if you go through like somebody, they rape you, whether you go to court or you win the case, but actually it does not help because that person has hurt you. Or if you go through the abuse, emotionally, physical abuse in marriages, the accusation are created within your heart, in your subconscious mind. But those accusations, they are real. But if they stay there, when you go through healing, you have to take them off your heart now. You don't want those memories, you don't want them in your disk anymore. So you can take them out, go through the process, take them out, withdraw them. The petition, some people may have a petition against you. They might have accusation against you or whatever that might be that you don't know knowingly or unknowingly, or maybe simply lies that they tell people about you. So that can affect you if you don't know. Some people, they'll hear things about themselves and like, oh, this person is they said this about you. And you're like, but it's not true. Why are they lying about me? Those are the accusations people put against you. So you have to now dealing with them. If you say, oh, okay, it's fine, I'm going to just get angry and not dealing with it properly, it will affect you because we are all human. So just dealing with it and withdraw those accusations. And for me, I just go through it. I'll be like, if anything that will hinder my healing or the person is healing, they are moving forward, I just ask God to take it away, to wipe it off. And I will stand, when you stand in the court, I didn't know this, and sometimes I'll get affected and I'll get affected in this area until my pastor says, you do know that you have to take the stand and just dismiss any accusation and dismiss any fear, like dissolve any fear. But sometimes some things can cause a fear within us. Unknowingly, it can destroy our confidence. So you have to, any fear that is operating in my life, just dissolve it and dismiss it. That is working against me, just dissolve it. And what else can you do? What else? And then also make sure that you declare out loud that I have no accusation. Once you wipe off the accusation, and then you say, I have no accusations anymore against this person. And anything that it will come causing pain towards them. That's how you do the healing. Like you say, I'm putting my hands up. I want no part of it. Whatever the hate they put me through, I want no part of it. I'm focusing on my healing and I want to move forward with grace. I want to be happy. I don't want anything to stand in my life. I withdraw everything, the accusation, or if there's an accusation in your heart that you feel that this person has hurt me, and then you just move forward with your life and blocking everything. It could be maybe you're meant to be a great leader, and maybe those wounds that you've gone through in the past, they are affecting your leadership. Just unblock anything that is affecting my leadership, anything that will affect my business not moving forward. Or maybe it's because of my wounds, because anything that we do, it will block our subconscious mind for us not to function properly. So just go through it, go through whatever you know, knowing best on your story, how your story unfold. Like Amanda goes, she suffers from anxiety. She knows how to deal with that anxiety. She has found her own strategy that works for her. So you can find your own strategy, however you want to to create that strategy. For me, I just, whatever I go through, I sit down, I reflect on things, and I will look at things with this problem. If there is a blockage, I'll have a look at it. Where does it come from? And then I'll sit down. If I have to go through 2 hours dealing with it, I will deal with it. So just dealing with it. And I told you guys, it was yesterday or day before yesterday that I'm actually removing myself from the pit. Because it's like when you go through pain, you build this wall where you protect your soul. And a part of you, you leave that soul behind. You leave that in that story. You leave part of you in that story. So I'm actually moving myself from every story, every bad story that I have ever gone through. I remove myself, I remove my business, I remove this, I remove this, I remove this. So anything you want to add, Amanda? Hi, Ellie.
Now my child's up too. It's almost 7.
Oh, bless her.
Oh, sorry, I got a little bit distracted by her. I was looking for the blog entry, but I think when I shifted my website from wordpress.com to wordpress.org, it got lost. But I do still have the article written in a different spot, so I'll have to repost it and then I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was really a good way to look at forgiveness, and I'll let you know when I repost it. I should be able to do it this morning or this afternoon. I really think that this is a really great topic because we really have this power within ourselves that we sometimes think it has to come from outside forces. Like, when I get this, then I'll be happy, and that's not really the case. It's like you need to find happiness first from within, and then once you start to vibrate that happiness, then other things will begin to align. And I think that's something that's really, really important, especially when people start to look at ways that they're feeling about different things, and that they really truly, the only thing they have power over is themselves and how they choose to react, right? You don't have the power to change how somebody else reacts. You just have the power to change how you react to a situation and how you show up in your life each and every day. And so really taking that power back to realize, like, you're the one that has the most power over what's going on in your life, and look at things like those circles of control that we talk about in elementary school. Like, this is what you have control over. All of these things on the outside you don't have control over. So what is it that you can do within yourself that can shift how you're feeling about things? And so I think that's something that's really important to look at as well.
Claim your power back. That's very, very, very important. And also know that you're worthy and you're beautiful. I always say to people that beauty comes from your inner being and your outer being, both sides, your outer world and your inner world. And know that you have a purpose to be here on earth. So look after your number one, and those wounds, whatever you have gone through in life, just create to turn them into wisdom. Just find whatever works for you and just dealing with them. And don't want, most of the time we worry about what people think. Don't worry about people because they have their own things that they deal with. So for me, it's like if I look at somebody, I'm like, this person, they're dealing with things that I don't know. So I'm dealing with things that they don't know about me. So the best way is for me to worry about God and just call him and say, God, help me with this problem. So that is the only way, and dealing with it without being ashamed or without feeling guilty, and knowing that you're aiming for breakthrough and you can reach your destination. If you feel like you want to cry, please do get in touch with us at Ngosi Talk Shows and Hope Spring Eternal Introduction Agency. If you are looking for love, we have coaches from all walks of life that can help you to find your voice, your own voice, and lead from within. Be the person that you were created to be, not to live a fake life. I meet people, celebrities. When I meet them, they want me to treat them, like when you're watching them on the magazines and Facebook, social media, they want me to treat them like that. I'm like, that's not how I roll. If I want to eat wings with my fingers, guys, I'll eat my wings with my fingers, and I don't really care. So you can do the same. So don't worry about me, because me, I worry about Nomsa. So I don't really, I mind my own business. So meaning that I will do whatever it takes to find my strength within so I can move forward with my life as long as I'm not hurting anybody else. So God bless everyone. If you're watching us from Facebook, please subscribe to our join our groups on Facebook, Unique Billionaire Mindset and Ngosi Talk Shows on YouTube. Subscribe, please. We love you guys, and God bless. We'll see you tomorrow.